Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Dana Scranton, and thank you for joining me, whether you're on the live or the recorded version. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that I consider to be one of the most important topics of the current era, and that is the rise of the life-based business. Now, you may know that as a home-based business, but the fact of the matter is that the home-based business industry, which is the common term that refers to a single individual or a small business that operates out of a home, is the basis of much of the US economy. As a matter of fact, the trend indicates it is also a growing basis on an international platform. In other words, if you take the global business and look at the percentage of the global business that is the so-called home-based business, it is growing extremely rapidly. Why? Well, for a number of reasons. First of all, the digital environment that we live in now has created enabling tools, tools that let you, the individual, create a business that operates out of your home, out of your car, out of wherever you want to be, so you have no infrastructure to speak of. Now, there is an economy, so to speak, that supports that kind of a business. Some of the home-based businesses actually are manufacturing businesses. They may have a garage or a shed or a barn where they're manufacturing a product and shipping it, and it's a home-based business with few employees. But then there are the solo entrepreneurs, those business owners who operate from wherever they want to operate, and they have no employees. Now, here's the statistics for the United States. In the US, the so-called home-based businesses comprise about 51.7% of the entire economy. Now, that's a huge percentage. 60% of that 51.7% is solo entrepreneurs who don't have any employees. Now, that is a huge number. It's about 31% of the US economy are solo entrepreneurs. Now, I'm assuming the data has some degree of accuracy to it. I don't know what the variability of it is, but here's the point. 31% of the United States economy can be attributed to the actions of single individuals operating out of their home or their car or a tent or a table somewhere in a park. So here is the twist I'm putting on it, and we're going to go into more detail. You'll notice at the top of the video here, right up here, it says the rise of the life-based business. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means what it's intended to mean. If you look at the picture just right there on the frame, you'll see a guy sitting in a chair looking out at the sunrise, and he's got a laptop behind him. It's in a rural setting. That's a life-based business. This individual depicts what happens when you make a decision to base your life around the things that are important to you. In this case, maybe the individual wanted to live in a rural setting. They want to embrace the country life. They want simplicity. They want to get out of the rat race. To do so, they create a home-based business. The laptop depicts the digital connection to the world economy. Now, that in fact is what we have on an accelerating basis today. The rise of life-based businesses, where people are making a decision to step onto the frontier of possibilities to achieve more control and certainty in their lives and to live a life based on their own desires as opposed to those that are cast upon them by the mores of society. In other words, those institutions of society that try to tell you who you need to be, what you can do, what you can think, what you should think. These are the kinds of things that are being cast off today. People are saying, look, I want to live where I want to live, and I want to be who I want to be, and I want the freedom to be able to do all of that on my terms in a way of my choosing. Okay, Philosophical? No, it's real. It's the rise of life-based business. The digital infrastructure that we have on a global basis enables we, humanity, to create an economy, which is quite large, 51.7% of the US economy. Globally, I didn't find any reliable data, but it is a trend that is most certainly indicating that it's taking place on a global basis. As a matter of fact, if you go to the country of Nigeria and you take a look at what's going on there with one particular company that I'm familiar with, solo entrepreneurship is exploding. And it's all around gasoline and diesel fuel, how to enhance and enrich the effectiveness of the fuel. This is being driven by individuals with cell phones. They don't have a laptop. They don't have a computer. They've got cell phones. They are driving a life-based business, creating an impact on a country, on lives within that country, making it possible for people to do more with less, all from a cell phone. Now multiply that on a global basis. What does that mean? It means that individuals are empowered by digital devices, applications, to be able to extend their personal desires into a global business. So if you have a desire to be like this fellow sitting out on his porch, to enjoy life, to be able to go get his dog sitting over there on the porch and walk down that road and spend some time reflecting on life, the possibilities are there. This is not some panacea. This is not some scam or a dream idealistic argument that just doesn't hold water. That's quite the opposite. This is the rise of a life-based business infrastructure on a global basis that is making a huge impact. So let's talk about the individual. How do you make a business like this work? Well, as I've mentioned in some of the other videos, there are some very old books that tell you exactly how to do this. One of them is The Science of Getting Rich, published in 1910. Another is this ever so popular book, Think and Grow Rich, which was published in late 1929, early 1930s, I believe. And hundreds of other books and resources and videos that all say the same thing. And that same thing is this. In order to create a life-based business, you have to make a decision. The decision is to follow your desire. Make a decision that that desire will become a reality, and then you put in place the steps to get there. One of the first steps is identify your purpose. Why do you do that? Well, I've covered that in some other videos. They're on this channel, the YouTube channel, Dana Scranton, at Dana Scranton, or Entrepreneurs Without Limits. Either one will get you there. Point being is that you have to have a purpose, and the purpose of your purpose is to give you direction, to give you control, to give you the discipline to understand where you will allocate your mental and emotional resources. Because solo entrepreneurship is a mental game. It is an emotional game. The resources are out there for you to tap into. Those you have no control over, but you do have the ability to utilize those to gain control in your life. And we won't go into those resources in this particular episode. But emotional factors come into play. An emotional factor is really how you feel about what you're doing and the emotional engagement that holds for you. Emotional engagement for what? Emotional engagement of the outcome of achieving your purpose. That's why in all of these books like Think and Grow Rich, a definitive purpose is one of the prerequisites for success. Because once you have your purpose identified and the byproduct of that purpose to you, in other words, the benefit that you will accrue when you bring that purpose to the world, or even better yet, in the process of bringing that purpose to the world, you are rewarded. You are rewarded in a number of ways. As a solo entrepreneur, you don't have to worry about payroll, taxes, infrastructure, utilities, none of that. Your biggest worry, your biggest concern every day is keeping your head in the game, maintaining a sound emotional base from which to take action. getting in touch with your desires, visualizing every single day the outcome that you will enjoy and the impact your purpose has on the world. That's really the game of solo entrepreneurship. It's a head game. It's a heart game. Once you understand that you are in control of your thoughts and that your thoughts create your reality, then you are on your way to creating a life-based business. Then you can tap into the massive infrastructure of resources that are out there in the world just looking for a solo entrepreneur like you who is driven, who is focused. Now, there are solo entrepreneurs who want to create their own product, and they want to create it because they want that control and they want that certainty, and their ego demands it. Those are valid entrepreneurs, and oftentimes those kind of people end up creating the organizational entrepreneurial opportunities for the solo entrepreneur. But in this episode, I want to focus strictly on the individual, the solo entrepreneur who is not in it to create an organization. Rather, they are in it to create a life. Now, in the process of creating your life, it stands to reason that you will help others do the same. And isn't that exactly what we define as an entrepreneur? Somebody who identifies and understands the needs of others, i.e., a life, and then with courage, conviction, and resourcefulness connects them with a means of fulfilling those needs. That's what an entrepreneur does. That's what you do as a life-based business. Now, why did I drop the home-based business mantra here? Well, home-based business is a common way, like I say at the very beginning of referring to this, but a life-based business says that the whole purpose of being in this particular business model, this format, this platform, is to achieve a life. Balance? I don't know if it's so much about balance as it is about feeling, knowing that your life is what you want it to be. Now, if you live in a big city, constantly surrounded by noise and pollution and all of the things that happen in congested cities, you have a different definition of what life might look like than somebody who lives in a small town, so small that you have to drive 50 miles to find anything that even remotely resembles civilization. These two people will have a different view of life. Life is subjective. It's what you want to make of it. Some people want to live in a resort community like here in Whitefish, Montana. Other people want to get off the grid, live out in the middle of nowhere and not see another person. And then there's those who thrive on city life. Life is subjective. And a home-based business, as traditionally referred to, kind of doesn't capture that feeling, but a life-based business does. It's what you make of it, and the infrastructure is out there to do that. Now, if we ever had a situation where our digital infrastructure fell apart, well, there'd be a bunch of us in a lot of trouble. But that's not the case right now. That's not the case and not likely to be the case. The whole world runs on a digital web, and that's a good thing because we can make an impact on the lives of others anywhere in the world once we have defined our purpose and backed that purpose with intention and action. That's the other element. Now, we're going to terminate this episode here pretty soon, but the other thing I want to cover is the subject of discipline. I have known a number of life-based entrepreneurs. Up here where I live, there are many of them. They move up here because they want to experience the four seasons. In other words, they want to ski in the winter, they want to hike, fish, kayak, bike in the summer. And, they want that fall, that autumn season to go out and experience the changes. And it just goes on and on. Some of these people move to an area like this. They start a life-based business, and then they let the life get in the way of the business. Is that a balance? Well, no, it's more discipline than balance. You have to define what constitutes the necessary and sufficient amount of effort to put into the business such that you can accrue the benefits of the life. Now, that may sound obvious, but here's what it really comes down to. That last word, business, I contemplated dropping business and putting vocation in there, but then it dawned on me that business has a different connotation. Business says, this is an entity you're responsible for. You have to make this thing work. It lives and breathes on what you do for it. So, a life-based business necessitates the discipline and the focus of getting the things done that formulate, that add up to, that sum up to your ability to have the life that you desire. It's on the rise. It's getting easier to access this type of a life. And the more people we have that advocate life-based business, the better off the world's going to be, especially if you understand it from the point of view of that definition I just shared on entrepreneurship. So let me repeat that. An entrepreneur is an individual, somebody who identifies and understands the needs of others, and then with courage, conviction, and resourcefulness connects those people with a means of fulfilling their needs. Remember, not the. It could be your means, it could be somebody else's. You, as the entrepreneur, are the conduit of value between the person with the need and the source of the means that might be able to help them fulfill those needs. That's entrepreneurship, and it's on the rise. And you have basically entered into life at a time when you can make a decision to pursue that kind of a life. And it's a wonderful life. You get to make an impact on the lives of others. You don't have to worry about all the problems that a typical organizational entrepreneur might have to deal with. You don't have a board of directors. You don't have employees, taxes, payroll, all the other things go along with it. But the businesses who rely on you may have those issues. They may have employees. They may have property taxes and a business to run, but they rely on you as the entrepreneur to take their product to the marketplace such that it can become a means of fulfilling the needs of others. And that's how simple it is. That's the rise of the life-based business. The other nice thing about this concept is that it brings the individual to a state of realization that they matter. For many, many years, we lived in a world that was kind of corporate dominated. You got an education, you went to work, you worked for 40 years, retired, and you had another, I don't know, what would it be, another 20 years, and then you die. Well, that's not what we have now. What we have now is the opportunity to create a business, an entrepreneurial endeavor that can impact the lives of others. And in so doing, you are rewarded both monetarily and personally for being the person who connects humanity with a means of fulfilling their needs. The company that you may represent, if that's the case, relies upon you and pays you to channel those solutions to the people who need them. It's that simple. It is really that simple. Where people complicate it is right up here in the head. They complicate the process by getting in the way with fears and trepidation and doubt. Yeah, it's normal. Humans are wired for that. But if one thing is communicated in this episode today, it would be that there is an infrastructure out there that is growing very rapidly called a life-based business, where the individual is the conduit of value between those who have solutions and means to those who have the ability to use those products. You are a conduit. People want what you can offer. So the rise of the life-based business is real. Be part of it. Well, once again, this is Dana Grant. I want to thank you for being here, and we'll see you on the frontier of possibilities and the next episode. Take care.